Hamas says it will release Israeli-American hostage Edan Alexander as part of efforts to secure aid deliveries and a ceasefire. But Israel maintains the concession was only made possible by military pressure, and negotiations will continue, while Israel also prepares to intensify fighting. Professor Yossi Mekelberg is an associate fellow at Chatham House and joins me now from London. Professor Meckleberg, really good to have you on the program again. Now, was this aid blockade by Israel the key factor towards why Hamas announced they will release American Edan Alexander, or was it because of the intense military pressure by the IDF, as suggested by Benjamin Netanyahu?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I think it is the release of Edan Alexander that we are still waiting for is at the end of the day down to Trump and President Trump pressure on Hamas, and in many ways it also serves Hamas interest, because they speak directly to the United States, and instead of talking to the United States through other mediators, it's the military pressure or imposing even worse a humanitarian blockade on Gaza hasn't brought the release of even a single hostages. If at all, we saw in the past that hostages were killed as a result of Israeli military operations.
Yes, and do you see this, as a major Hamas backdown? And if this is the case, might Palestinians who support Hamas be losing confidence in them?
I think we saw already that people in Gaza protested against Hamas, but the repercussions were violent and immediate, because at the end of the day, Hamas can't afford, from its point of view, to lose the support of its own people. There is no doubt that many in Gaza, or most of the people in Gaza, are just fed up with the war. At the end of the day, the war that started by Hamas and led to a completely disproportionate response from Israel is the people of Gaza that have paid the price and still paying the price. And if Israel, as it declared, is about to embark on another operation, and they already mobilized thousands and thousands of reservists, more people of Gaza will pay the ultimate price. So they don't want Hamas to basically be in charge of their fate, but neither Israel.
Yes, now this deal was negotiated by Qatar, Egypt and Turkey. So the question is, at least for now, would that desperately needed aid get into Gaza? And will Israel stop the blockade as the U.S. president, embarks on his trip to the region?
I think the release of the hostage today, when it happens, has more to do with Trump's visit to the region. But there are, other 58 hostages, which at least 20 of them are still alive. And they have more to do with the readiness of the Netanyahu government to reach an agreement. And so far, we didn't see that. Netanyahu remains in power because he caves in to the far-right parties in Israel. This continues. This is the case. That's why the ceasefire was broken on 18th of March, and that's why they're already looking for the next phase of fighting in Gaza, which, if it's not stopped by the U.S. administration or the regional power, it means that it will start sometimes after Trump leaves the region, with probably tragic consequences. It will end in even worse humanitarian disaster in Gaza, and probably with the deaths of more hostages.
Yes, and then there are also now suggestions that the U.S. president himself is growing quite frustrated with Benjamin Netanyahu's position on the war that you've just spoken about. Do you think he might effectively communicate that frustration when he's in the region, or has he already done that?
As we know, it's always very difficult to second-guess what Trump is going to do from minute to minute. However, the fact that he visits the region and doesn't visit Israel is a signal. The fact that he declared the stop on bombardment of the Houthis, but didn't include in that Houthis would stop the launching of missiles towards Israel, it's another message to Israel. The fact that other hostages that are not American citizens are not released. The fact that it will probably meet, as we expect, the leader of the Palestinians, Mahmoud Abbas, but not Netanyahu on this visit. So, and it really depends what's going to take place in the negotiation, the kind of agreements going to reach with the leadership, the Saudi leadership in Riyadh. Again, whether he's going frustrated with Israel and the never-ending war in Gaza, and at the end of the day will say, and we know Trump looks after only American interests. He doesn't have necessarily the bigger picture. And if this means also sideline Israel, he probably would do that.
Okay, Professor Yossi Mekelberg, we'll leave it there, but thank you very much for speaking with us this evening.
Thank you.